Hi, I'm Hetzel Gunkel of Columbia College, Chicago, and I'm glad to talk with you today about my project, The Space of the New Ethnic Neighborhood, Polka Festival as Imagined Community. Following the spatial turn in cultural studies, ethnic space is understood as a cultural category, constructed by discourse and determined by capital, within which people create their own narratives. This essay explores the construction of ethnic space and identity in the phenomenon of the Polish-American Polka Music Festival. Framed by attention to the process of production of space, the essay presumes that new conceptualizations of spatiality assume that space is no longer treated as something given, a pre-existing territory or locale. The case study of the Ethnic Music Festival is an ideal place for examining the invention of place, because it is not located in a fixed space, but in a movable community traveling from festival to festival. The Polka Festival circuit is attended by a core community of polka fans, many of whom travel from event to event in vacation motorhomes, with attendees setting up neighborhoods of motorhomes that include front lawns, outdoor kitchens, and streets. They display street signs, flags, and other public symbols of Polish American identity, recreating, I argue, the urban ethnic neighborhood of previous immigrant generations. Polish American ethnic identity for this group of participants is located and recreated in an imagined community that it creates, dismantles, moves, and recreates in a mobile spatiality of ethnic belonging. According to Kyle and Blau, polka as a hybrid musical form represents at least 100 years of resistance to the melting pot, a refusal to disappear into mediated entertainment, a no to monoculture, and an ongoing vernacular alternative to the sorts of fun manufactured by the culture industry. Some keys to note from polka scholarship. Polka is not Polish, it is uniquely Polish-American. There are multiple styles of polka. My work focuses on the Polish-American forms. Polka is not folk music, though it draws from various Polish folk dances. Polka has had a remarkable ability to interact with a wide variety of musical genres. It is an urban, ethnic, working-class form of the 20th century that incorporated mediated cultural forms such as country, blues, and jazz. Two interesting paradoxes about polka are: polka is a modern urban style that enables traditional cultures to persist, and polka is a global style that can exist only locally. Polka is widely accepted through stereotypes as monotonous, moronic, and musically mediocre. None of those, I can assure you, is accurate. I would argue that the common mockery toward polyester polka people is just old-fashioned classism. Despite the critical work of a small group of polka scholars, polka remains perhaps America's last great undiscovered genre, or as Billboard magazine called it, the real alternative. I want to apologize for the quality of the video, but I did want to share so that you could hear some of what we're talking about. And this is Eddie Blazonczyk Jr. of the Versatones describing polka's evolution.
Well,
this is not your grandparents' music anymore. I mean, it's really changed, it's evolved, and it's grown into something that's really cool.
Over the past 50 years, a circuit of well-attended polka festivals has established itself throughout North America. This phenomenon has expanded since the revival of the 1970s New Ethnicity movement, as well as in the cultural space opened by the exodus of white ethnics from urban America. These festivals are held in urban hotels, rural farm communities, mountain resorts, casinos, cruise ships, and seaside vacation towns. This project focuses on Pulaski Polka Days, approximately 30 miles west of Green Bay, Wisconsin, taking place at the festival grounds on the edge of the city of Pulaski, or the town of Pulaski. Under two giant tents operating simultaneously from late morning to the wee hours, constant polka music is offered. Under each tent are a large wooden floor, beer concessions, and a long stage which houses two separate bands. While one band plays, another sets up, allowing for live music with no breaks or downtime. While this event stretches over 4 days, some polka festivals last almost a week. Polka performs an increasingly important role in the self-definition of one segment of Polish American society whose ethnic identity is not constructed around a prior Polish citizenship. The vast majority of polka performers and fans are the children, grandchildren, and great-grandchildren of immigrants from the early waves of Polish rural movement to American industrial centers. Most of them were working class. The descendants of this immigration cohort are precisely that Polonian group who experienced what is now nostalgically called the old neighborhood of urban Polonia. Polonian scholarship has long claimed that the urban Polish American neighborhood was a recreation of the Polish rural village. Polish sociological analysis calls it the okolica. The urban ethnic parish neighborhood was the center of 20th century Polish American life. But we cannot expect to find the okolica unchanged 100 years later. As Stuart Hall points out, identities are always subject to the play of history, culture, and power. Consequently, identities undergo constant transformation. We must learn to recognize these new formulations that haven't appeared on our scholarly radar. If we keep looking for Polish American factory workers gathered at the tavern or parish hall of the 1940s, we will miss the creation of ethnicity in the 21st century. The participation in ethnicity via Polka Festival has morphed into a new form of Polish Americanness for one cohort of Polonia. In examining this formation in polka festivals, I have focused on 6 traditional aspects of the Polonian okolica, which I argue are recreated anew in polka festival culture: the village, the church, the parochial school, the tavern, the neighborhood economy, and the kitchen. Finally, the parades, which we'll end with. A fascinating component of the festival is this makeshift village created by motorhomes of polka people. Parked in orderly rows that approximate city blocks, the motorhomes create a temporary reenactment of ethnic city neighborhoods. An ethnography of city space could be applied to the polka village. There are lawn signs, neighbors, barbecues, and outdoor living rooms approximating the porch and patios of urban life. The lace curtains and other ethnic symbols appear in the windows of these mobile Polish American homes as well. In the boulevards of motor homes, a host of public symbols are deployed to mark ethnicity. One finds Polish and American flags, Polonian slogans such as Polish pride, family nameplates with Slavic surnames, actual street signs marking the American cities, state, or even streets of the motorhome's origin, and variety of polka memorabilia. The old neighborhood was typified by a Catholic urban experience, so thoroughly articulated to place that Catholics identified their neighborhood by the names of their churches and celebrated this Catholic ecology in an annual round of processions, carnivals, and block parties. This Catholic ecology appears again in polka festival culture. One of its most interesting facets is the polka mass, a Roman Catholic liturgy sung entirely to polka tunes and rhythms. This is a very popular component of the many national polka festivals. This is quite in keeping with the core of Polish Catholic urban experience because a powerful sense of religious attachment, both spiritual and secular, formed the central focus of Polish community life in the United States, where in the immigrant generation, the parish became the center of life. It's not surprising then that virtually every polka festival carves out ritual space for the Polish parish church. As Bob Walzer notes, the polka mass is one of those forms of contemporary popular culture that seems completely natural to insiders and utterly bizarre to most others. The tension between secular ethnic culture and sacred ritual typifies the fusion common to postmodern ethnicity. And here you can hear a section of the polka mass from the great documentary filmmaker Les Blank, In Heaven There Is No Beer.
Let us enjoy ourselves, singing and dancing, enjoying each other's company, and thanking God that we have men and women in the IPA who present it to us in a Christian Catholic way. Joe Pat here playing the Mass started the polka Mass a few years ago. It is spreading around Chicago and different towns, and the people love it because the background is their own national background with the church words in front of it.
Melody of love, oh love you with all my heart. I sing to thee, Mother Mary, my melody of love.
They feel a little more in the joyous mood when they hear the songs and sing the words of the church.
Bob Walser's study of the polka mass argues that however distant the polka mass may seem from the debates of academics, it exemplifies and helps illuminate many of the strategies of what is typically called postmodern culture, especially the hybrid nature of ethnic identity formation. The polka mass brings together parts of people's lives that had been separate, the sacred rituals of the church and the secular rituals of the ballroom and tavern. But it also represents an important articulation of historical memory in dialogue with formations and disruptions of ethnic identities that were in flux throughout the 20th century. Polka music, even outside the polka mass, engages in frequent and seemingly unproblematic crossings of the sacred-profane border. Rather than separating the religious from the everyday, as is the custom in the dominant American Protestant culture, which stresses religion as a private matter, polka music has included religious motifs throughout its songs. The polka mass points to the resourcefulness of ethnic communities in creating rhetorical and historical fusions that articulate communal identities, continually reinventing ethnicity in powerful, sophisticated ways. This resilience is also seen in the polka community's ability to sustain an independent polka economy, a community-based business alternative to the mainstream of corporate music production. In addition to the festivals and conventions, this economy includes polka recording studios, production and distribution, record and CD labels, polka record stores, polka radio shows, polka cruises and travel businesses, polka internet sites, polka associations, and polka publications. This economy also includes, at the festivals themselves, souvenir stands selling polka t-shirts and novelties, and CD sales tables set up by the individual bands alongside the stages. Such an artist-controlled and distributed musical genre is a radical alternative to the global conglomerates of pop music. The polka festival economy is protected by the provision no carry-ins, which ensures that patron-brought beer and snacks don't take away from the economic viability of the event. And speaking of beer and snacks, cuisine and foodways also play a special role in the work of ethnic memory, and polka festivals play a role in the preservation of ethnic foodways for folks who don't live in the old Polish neighborhood, for those who may be 5 generations removed from the immigrant kitchen. Most polka events make available for sale typically Polish foods such as pierogi, kielbasa, gołąbki, the cabbage rolls, and pączki. These cultural performances bring together music, dance, and foodways in powerful and emotionally charged ways that accomplish physical autobiography and the landmarking of memory. Polka parade crowds are fed by parish-sponsored booths on the church grounds or concessions at Smurawa's Country Bakery, a Polish-American establishment on Main Street.
How these people can keep up this frenetic pace. You probably won't find a personal trainer. A high carbohydrate diet might have something to do with the energy level.
I can still picture my mother working laboriously over the stove, making pierogis and making gołąbki, which are the cabbage rolls, and all of the other ethnic foods. And there is something about that.
We visited Smurawa's Country Bakery in Pulaski, Wisconsin, to try to tap in on some of these secret recipes.
Today we're going to be making pączki and pierogi. Pączki is a Polish pastry. This is an old family recipe. It's been in the family for over 75 years, 3 generations. So many times people say, well, it's a jelly donut. Well, it's not a jelly donut. It's got richer ingredients, it's made by hand, it's not cut out. That's a pączki. And we're also going to be making pierogis. Pierogis are a Polish dumpling. Pierogis are a staple or a must at any polka festival. If you're gonna make these at home, if you're gonna use a rolling pin, God bless you.
Instead of having a machine or anything, we had to roll out the dough with a rolling pin. And the dough is so elastic. It just, you roll it and it would roll back. You roll it and it would roll back. And it was just very hard.
When we had pierogies, it wasn't a side dish, it wasn't a replacement for potato, it was what we ate. Not everything is made in a factory, not everything is frozen, not everything is mass produced. I may not master the Polish language, but I think we've mastered the pierogies and the punchki.
So we turn from the bakery to the neighborhood corner tavern. Victor Green has explained that ethnomusicologists and music historians have generally ignored or even deliberately avoided a genre that has been referred to as people's music. It was charged that ethnic old-time music was the musical entertainment of America's lumpen proletariat, that uncultured, according to its critics, blue-collar working class who frequented the corner saloons and taverns of Midwestern industrial cities. The saloon and the tavern are still part of polka communities' formation. Polka festivals always sell beer and other liquors. The now class-specific practice of cigarette smoking is also an evidence in polka culture. This is not to say that polka culture celebrates drunkenness. While drink is present, the social politics of polka don't condone inebriation or brawling. In my many years of polka attendance, I've never seen a single altercation, although liquor is always present. This might best be explained by Charlie Kyle and Dick Blau's description of polka as a space of ritual happiness and excess. From an anthropological point of view, a common feature of festivity is to overindulge, to eat, drink, or spend to excess. Such rituals give expression to a kind of festal excess that is often fundamental to celebrations. The critique of such practices is often an attack on festival itself, a repudiation of celebratory indulgence out of adherence to puritanical values, emphasizing hard work, self-control, frugality, and simplicity. The puritanical disdain for festive excess explains why historically non-Catholic and non-Polish neighbors remarked on the unacceptably festive nature of Polish urban social life. Mary Erdman's notes the scandalous image of Polonia held by Detroit's Dutch Calvinists, who kept the Sabbath through austere prayer, while their Polish counterparts set up stages in Richmond Park for polka bands and kegs of beer. The unproblematic and unprotestant mixture of drink and festival, excess and worship, sacred and profane, which characterizes the Polish Catholic worldview, is also reproduced in the polka festival space. The centrality of parish schools for educating immigrant Polonian children is also recreated in Polish festival culture. The function of educating the new generation of community members has been expressed in recent festivals. Eddie Blazonczyk's Polka Fireworks Festival introduced children's polka workshops. Their press release described the workshops as follows. Polka musicians from various bands will gather with children of all ages to discuss, demonstrate, and teach all aspects of playing and learning their instruments. From practice to live performance, from blowing a note to bowing a string, children are encouraged to bring along their instruments for these fun, free afternoon workshops. In a less formal way, the new generation of polka people is socialized into polka culture through multi-generational participation in polka events. I've argued that the social landscape of a polka dance is countercultural, counter-hegemonic, because all ages participate. In an increasingly age-segregated, youth-focused mainstream culture, the polka party is a rare intergenerational space. And finally, I want to address the notion of cultural space more explicitly. In a ritual that names ownership of civic public space, Pulaski Polka Days is known for its centerpiece, the Polka Parade. The cortege travels down Main Street of Pulaski, past the church and the taverns, and out to the festival grounds. In a wonderful collage of civic Americana, rural spectacle a la Soviet realism, you'll note the tractors, and polka pride. The parade includes veterans groups, displays of farm machinery bedecked with polka signage, and the signature touch, flatbed trucks bearing live polka bands, and dancers who bypass the spectators. A combination of generic Polish folk costumes, American war veterans, Polish-American vernacular signage, and polka music marks the event as Polish-American. And you may see the banner there, SB 704 Polka, It's the Law, which refers to the Wisconsin state statute that made polka the official state dance of the state of Wisconsin. Polka culture is an articulation of one version of Polish-Americanness, a lived expression of Polish-American ethnic identity that is neither representative of all Polish-American experience nor normative for all Polish-American subjectivity, and certainly not for Polish subjectivity at all. In his critical work on cultural dimensions of globalization, Apachuri distinguishes between culture and the cultural. While culture is associated with a static conception of a people associated with specific traits, the cultural refers to situated differences, contrasts, and comparisons that either express or set the groundwork for the mobilization of group identities. A Perdurai's distinction expresses the fluidity of identity associated with diasporic movements. I would argue that this is the nature of the symbolic landscape from which Polish American polka people draw to fashion their ethnicity. In this landscape, symbols of farm prosperity, 20th century nationalisms, hybrid music, Polish folk culture, and American ethnic urbanism all emerge as a field from which polka people craft their sense of belonging. This sense of Polish American identity is formed in the space of a mobile community of polka music fans who recreate a movable Polish American neighborhood on the festival circuit in a mobile spatiality of ethnic belonging. I'd be delighted to talk more with you, take questions, and discuss further. My contact information is here. And if you would like to read the full essay on this project, it is available online in the open access journal New Horizons in English Studies, and I will put the link in the chat. Thank you so much for your time.